All right, guys. In this episode, we're going to talk about this particular judge, who is allegedly a devout racist, and this judge just reminds us why the criminal justice, quote unquote, justice system is just not equal and never has been, especially when we can get more extended time for the same crime as them. I'll get back to it in a second. This is 5 Minutes with Mike. Our news, our voice, our issues. Believe that. All right, guys, I'm going to go down a list of some recent judges that have been found or have had some accusations of racial bias, okay, to use the term lightly. Mark Hewley, Jacksonville, Florida. He resigned in 2017 while facing impeachment and ethics charges. He was accused of stating that black people, get this, as if we haven't heard this statement before, but he was accused of saying, black people should get back on the ship and go back to Africa. Classic Mr. Mark Hewley. Now, on to Stephen Milan. He was reprimanded and fined in 2018 for using the word thugs. We often see that, on Fox News reports, so that's not a new word either. But he was using the word thugs to describe a black defendant's supporters and using a racial slur in a private conversation. Oh, wow. Oh, my. All right, next up, we got Marty Levy Cohen. Now, mind you guys, these are all judges. These are all people that decide the fate of your son or daughter's future, or even yours, okay? Now, Marty Levy Cohen reprimanded in June 2025 for spreading unverified, derogatory information about a political opponent that included false claims of racial bias. All right, we're cooking now. Mark Walker. While not accused of being a racist himself, he was frequently made headlines for striking down Florida laws like the Stop Woke Act, ruling that they were motivated by racial discrimination. Okay? Now, before I talk about this other despicable judge, which is a woman, I'm going to talk about the injustice system that we all face every single day here in the United States of, I don't want to even say the rest, but here we go. At the end of the day, man, black Americans, which I've been living in this black skin for quite a bit of time now, I have had to deal with racism, prejudice of all kinds, all the time, whether I walk through a grocery store, whatever it is that I do in my everyday life, I have to be cautious enough in my mind that somebody's watching me and thinking I'm probably a criminal, okay? Although, outside of some years ago having driving with a suspended license, which I didn't know it was suspended, in that case getting dropped, I've not been a criminal. I've not done anything criminal worthy. I've not went in and broken anybody's homes. I've not held anybody at gunpoint. I've not done any of these quote unquote thug activities, right? By any means in any stretch, thuggery is definitely not a word that is exclusive to black people. There are thugs in every particular domination of race and or people, okay? It's just, for some strange old reason, black people always get the label of thug. They always get the label. We always get the label of, drug dealer. And every time, even in, being in sales for such a long time, when it comes down to white people, you hear, oh yeah, I'm going to the neighborhood. When it comes down to black people, it's, oh yeah, I'm going down to the hood, which is code for black. Okay, which we all know, if you take neighbor and hood, it says neighborhood, right? So it's the same damn thing. It's just a matter of maybe more black folks may live on this side of town, and maybe more white folks may live on that side of town. But why do we have to disparage one to make one feel better after the other? And the list goes down when it comes down to disparity. Blacks tend to get more time for the same damn crime. And so when you have judges that are openly... This episode of 5 Minutes with Mike is brought to you by Michael D. Beckford's newest book, HOMEBOYS. Everybody has a homeboy or friends call his own. The best friend you kick it with at the family barbecue. The one you trust to bring around your lady without raising a red flag. A homeboy would play video games, smoke, and chill. A homeboy is a nigga you can ride or die, and the one you sleep with on the low. Homeboys, available in ebook and paperback or wherever books are sold. Racist and or discriminate against people of color, then that's a problem. And it's not just obviously the open that's the problem. It's those that ain't talking about it. That's obviously equal the problem. Because the last thing you want when you're sitting up there before the judge is to know that this person has these, let's say, proclivities to lock up your people at a much more higher rate than the people that look like them. Okay? So recently in the news, you had this judge, this woman that, oh my gosh. First of all, for 15 months, she was collecting a check for basically being disbarred by the state. You know what I'm saying? And finally, of her volition, she decided to retire, right? But for the last 15 years, she's been on an investigation, primarily because of the way that she's treated and or talked about individuals of the black race, just of blacks in America. Okay, all blacks, not just talking about African Americans, any kind of black, anybody that's blackity black, she did not like. You automatically, her mindset was a crime, you're a criminal, and there is no saving you. And that's just the problem that we have in America. We disparage people just because of the color of their skin. And a lot of Republican folks say, oh yeah, we love Martin, but unfortunately they don't love Martin's people. Because if they love Martin's people, which I would be one of those people, then they wouldn't have the same level of disregard for basic civil rights that we've been fighting for ever since the time of Martin and Malcolm. Okay? And it's crazy because people always say, oh yeah, you guys got it better. You guys got it better. Okay. We got it somewhat better. It's better than it was in the 60s. But what does better mean when I can't even get a loan like my white counterpart can get a loan? What does better mean that if I decided to steal a candy bar from a store, that most likely I would get 6 to 12 months in jail, while good old little Johnny is going to get maybe 12 days of civic service outside of the jail. Okay? Not even seeing any time. So the list goes on and on when you think about Rittenhouse, right? What he did. If that was a black person that went out down there, took a weapon that they acquired illegally, and went down to that place and just unalived some folks, do you think that judge would have had the same type of mercy for a black person, a black kid named Kyle Jones, right? Not Kyle Rittenhouse, but if his name was Kyle Jones, you think that judge would have had the same type of mercy? Heck no. And so this is the problem when it comes down to the racist judicial system, right? It's a prejudice that often takes place. Poor people, which unfortunately is often our people. Now, poor does not have a color, right? But unfortunately, blacks are, we are overrepresented when it comes down to lack of resources and funds. But the main thing is we get overcharged when it comes down to court cases. We get overcharged when it comes down to the legal system. We saw this whole situation where there is, I believe it was in Ferguson, but don't quote me on this. There was a whole city that sued the government, the city government, that said, hey, well, oh no, it was the federal government. Either way, there was a city that they were just taxing. There was in one part of this neighborhood and taxing the hell out of folks for these particular tickets. And guess what? It was a low-income neighborhood that they knew these people weren't able to get get lawyers to fight for their rights. And that's exactly what happens. This system, which all starts, with the laws that were written, and then the judges and the courts, of course, are meant to enforce these laws. But they enforce these laws, unfortunately, with a racial bias. And these systems have no love when it comes down to our black boys and girls. Because guess what? By the time they turn 12, they're not looked at as boys and girls. They're looked at as potential suspects. Okay? And this is the problem, bro. Because honestly, majority of blacks do not commit crimes. The majority of blacks are not thugs. But why is it that we have to keep trying to fight for just basic civil rights? Especially when we have a racist administration in the White House that does not give a damn about black and brown people. And as a matter of fact, as of today, he just took away temporary protection status for the Somalis. Basically saying, you know what? We don't F with the Somalis no more. Y'all got to get the F up out of here. As of March, it's serious. And so, listen, I have an issue when there is an issue. And I can care less about who gets on this comments and say, oh, yeah, it's fair. Oh, yeah, you guys are doing better. Oh, yeah, you guys are great. No, it ain't great. Because until all of our people are great, we all ain't great. And by the way, why is it that weed is still not legal in every state in the United States? And for those states that have legalized weed, aka marijuana, every single person that has a weed charge, right, that was a weed charge for personal use needs to be out of jail today. If there's still people in jail for marijuana, especially in states that have legalized it, that is a crime before the name of the Lord, in my opinion. Okay, that is a crime before the name of the Lord to have these people still in jail for weed, for that use. While you got Becky at weed stores in Las Vegas and in other places in California that's like, oh, hey, how can I serve you? How can I help you? While we still got black and brown people serving double time for the same thing Becky's doing behind the counter. All right, guys, this is the episode. Like and subscribe. Please let me know what you think. Have a blessed day. Some of your favorite books from the creative mind of Michael D. Beckford are coming soon to quicklit.com.